What if I told you there's a man quietly working away in his shed, creating motorcycles so outrageous they make million-dollar engineering teams look like they're still figuring out how to screw on a spark plug? His name is Allen Millyard, and in this ordinary-looking garage, surrounded by garden tools, bicycles, and maybe a confused cat or two, he builds machines that shouldn't even exist. I'm talking bikes with aircraft engines, monstrous V12S, and creations that leave professional engineers whispering, "How is that even possible?" And the most shocking part? He does it mostly by hand. No massive assembly lines, no multi-million-dollar R&D teams, just one man, his imagination, and a few trusty tools. Before we crack open the doors to this mechanical wonderland, smash that subscribe button like you'd smash a roach trying to escape under your fridge at midnight. Because the secrets you're about to hear aren't just fascinating. They might make you rethink what real innovation looks like. And if you think a 5,000cc V12 motorcycle is extreme, wait until we get to the engine he built that experts swore was impossible. Allen Millyard is not your average mechanic, and he's certainly not your average engineer. While big manufacturers worry about trends, investors, and marketing campaigns, Allen worries about something much simpler. Can I make this engine bigger, faster, and still ride it to the shops? Born in England, Allen started tinkering with bikes as a teenager. Most kids his age were happy just putting stickers on their BMX. Allen? He was busy turning stock motorcycles into mechanical monsters that defied logic. What's unique is his style. There's no corporate polish here. His workshop isn't a massive, pristine lab with white floors and staff in lab coats. It's a shed, a very humble shed. There might be a lawnmower in the corner and a kettle that's seen better days. And yet, from this modest space, he's built bikes like the Millyard Viper V10, a motorcycle with the heart of a Dodge Viper sports car. That's a car engine the size of a small sofa in a bike frame. But here's the real mystery. How does someone in such a tiny workshop manage to create engines that rival and often surpass what giant manufacturers with endless budgets are doing? The answer lies in a technique that sounds insane until you see how perfectly it works. If Allen has a trademark move, it's this: cylinder grafting. Think of it as the Frankenstein technique of the motorcycle world, but without the bolt sticking out of the neck. Here's how it works. He'll take, for instance, a humble two-cylinder Kawasaki engine. He'll carefully slice the crankcase, weld in extra cylinders from a similar engine, rebalance the crankshaft, and voila, a four-cylinder powerhouse is born. The precision this requires is staggering. A fraction of a millimeter off, and the engine would shake itself apart faster than a bad washing machine on spin cycle. But Allen's craftsmanship is legendary. His engines not only run, they often run smoother than the original stock version. And the best part, he does much of it using tools many hobbyists already have: basic lathes, mills, and welding equipment. It's less about having $1 million setup and more about having the skill, patience, and a mind that looks at a motorcycle and thinks needs 2 more lungs. But adding cylinders is just the beginning. Wait until you hear how he tests these creations, because it's not always in a fancy lab. Sometimes it's in his backyard, with neighbours probably wondering if the end times have arrived. Imagine this. You've just built a one-of-a-kind, never-before-seen engine. You've spent weeks machining parts, aligning gears, balancing shafts. Now it's time to start it up. For most engineers, this is done in a controlled environment, with safety gear, maybe even a reinforced cell. For Allen, sometimes it's done on a patch of grass next to a garden gnome. Take the now legendary Kawasaki V12 he built, 2 6-cylinder engines fused together into a symphony of mechanical chaos. When he first fired it up, it wasn't in a corporate test cell, it was in his driveway. The roar that came out was so thunderous, birds probably migrated early just to escape it. But here's the shocking thing. These creations rarely fail catastrophically. Why? Because Allen's understanding of balance, tolerances, and engineering fundamentals is so precise that even his mad scientist builds are often more reliable than stock bikes. And this brings us to the bigger question: why does he do it? Is this about fame, money, or something much deeper? The answer might surprise you. And it might just make you look at your own hobbies in a completely different way. Allen Millyard is driven by something you rarely see in today's engineering world, pure curiosity. He's not out here chasing a billion-dollar IPO. He's not trying to make the next iPhone of motorcycles. He does it because he wants to see if it's possible. His workshop is like a laboratory of what-ifs. What if I add 4 more cylinders? What if I put an aircraft engine in a motorbike? What if I make a V12 so smooth you could balance a coin on it while it runs? This philosophy leads to a rare thing, innovation for the sake of innovation, and that's why his bikes aren't just wild. They're often road legal and surprisingly practical. Many of them have passed inspections and are fully registered to ride on public roads. And speaking of riding, one of his most famous projects not only hit the road, it became a legend in the motorcycle world. But the real story behind that bike? It's even crazier than the headlines. Let's talk about the Flying Millyard. This isn't just a bike, it's a rolling contradiction. It uses a 5-litre twin-cylinder engine originally designed for an aircraft, and yet Allen made it work on 2 wheels. The sheer torque of this thing is enough to pull tree stumps out of the ground. And the sound? Somewhere between a thunderstorm and a dragon with a sore throat. What's even more shocking is that he didn't just build it for show. The Flying Millyard is road registered, and Allen actually rides it to local shops, bike meets and events. Imagine pulling up next to that at a traffic light while you're on your 125cc commuter. You'd feel like an ant next to a buffalo. And if you thought that was extreme, wait until you hear about the Viper V10 motorcycle, because that one pushes the definition of motorcycle to its absolute breaking point. Yes, you heard that right. Allen Millyard took a Dodge Viper V10 engine, the same monstrous power plant that sits under the hood of an American supercar, and decided, yeah, this should go in a motorcycle. The result? A bike with over 500 horsepower, capable of speeds that would make your insurance company cry. The sheer audacity of putting an engine designed for a muscle car between 2 wheels is almost comical. But Allen made it work, and not just in theory. He refined the frame, tuned the balance, and turned what should have been a death trap into a surprisingly rideable, stable machine. And here's where the story takes a twist. Allen's not just about going bigger and louder. Some of his upcoming experiments hint at something that could reshape how we think about custom bikes entirely. Allen isn't finished. In fact, insiders whisper that his next projects might involve alternative fuels, hybrid systems, and even fully electric custom builds, but with the same insane, over-engineered approach he's known for. Imagine an electric motorcycle with the outrageous style of a Millyard creation, but with instant torque and near-silent operation. Or a hybrid bike that can cruise for hundreds of miles, but still unleash that raw mechanical growl when you want it. Allen has always been about doing what others won't dare to try, so don't be surprised if his workshop soon births something that once again leaves experts saying, that's not possible, is it? And that brings us to a bigger, almost philosophical question. What does Allen Millyard's journey teach the rest of us, whether you're an engineer, a dreamer, or just someone who loves seeing rules get broken? At its core, Allen's story isn't just about motorcycles. It's about passion meeting skill. It's about what happens when someone refuses to be limited by what's normal. He proves that you don't need $1 million lab to create something extraordinary. Sometimes all you need is a basic workshop, a head full of ideas, and the patience to turn those ideas into reality, one weld at a time. It's a reminder to every creative person out there. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start now, start small, and you might just end up building something the whole world talks about. Allen Millyard's secret workshop isn't a factory. It's not a lab. It's a tiny, ordinary space that produces extraordinary machines. From his V12 Kawasaki to the Flying Millyard, to his experiments that may shape the future of motorcycles, Allen is living proof that innovation doesn't always come from giant corporations. Sometimes it comes from a single mind, a steady hand, and a refusal to accept limits. So the next time you hear a sound on the street that makes your windows rattle and your coffee vibrate, remember, It might just be Allen Millyard passing by on one of his mythical creations. If you loved this deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe to AB Tech Lab and share this video with a friend who loves mechanical marvels. Because this is just one of many mind-blowing stories we'll be exploring.